everybody, it's Martha. Welcome to my Shabby Craft Studio. This for me is take 4. So please bear with me. Tammy asked about my printer. And I thought I would share a few things about my opinion about my HP Envy Photo 7155 printer. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I will talk each point. I have a pros and cons list. The printer prints really well. Most colors come out accurately, though I've had problems with purple. There's a con side to that, and I will get to the con list momentarily. It takes most paper easily, including tracing paper and 110-pound cardstock, but I don't use it often because they don't recommend that you put in that heavy a paper in most regular home use printers. They aren't made to take a lot of heavy paper. However, knock wood, I've had pretty good luck with mine. But my printer does make a lot of noise when it sucks the paper in. It sounds like the gears are going to burst out. I'm sorry, I have to take a drink of tea, because this is take 4 and my mouth is very dry. Okay, it's not very large. It has a small footprint and it takes up very little desk space. It does take 4x6 photo papers, and they do print out nicely. I will say that. I printed one the other day to send to a customer, and I do like the way it printed out. However, there's some cons to that too. It does have a decent scanner, but it can leave a bit of a dark spot on 1 or 2 edges, but that's easily fixed when you go in. Once you've scanned it, you go into your photo editing program and you can just crop that out. But it is an extra step. It prints very nicely in just the normal mode, as opposed to having to use the best print mode, which on a lot of printers, you have to use the best print mode in order for it to really come out nice. And best mode uses a lot of ink. So it is an advantage that you can use the normal mode and get very nice prints. Ink usage is tracked by HP. So when you get an HP printer, you can sign up for the instant ink refill, and HP will send you your ink before you run out. That being said, it does come through the US mail. And right now, the US mail is not exactly up to par. A couple of stories on that. We got some Christmas cards late last week. This is July 28th, I believe. And we got some Christmas cards last week that were mailed in mid-December. My cousin in Maine, I live in Virginia, sent me a quilt block from our grandmother, who has been deceased since I was a teenager. And she wanted me to work with it to make a journal of some sort. I don't know who it's for or anything else, but she sent it 3 weeks ago. I don't have it yet. And she is very upset, and I am very upset about it. So hopefully that thing shows up soon. But you do get the cartridges in the mail. And they have always been timely for me up to this point in time. However, you have to get them in the mail. We've had to use their customer service during a problem we were having, and they were very helpful and sent a new batch of ink when we had that problem. So that was a good thing. Okay, so let's see. I will flip this over. And it does print borderless. There is a print option in there, which every printer has printer options. And it's best to get to know your machine when you get it home. You should experiment with it and not print out your first, digital kit without experimenting with some pages first. It's best to use various weights of paper on testing. Use pages with a lot of color on them so you can see if they come out true to form. And if you don't like it, figure out what setting works best for your printer. All printers are different. All computers are different. What shows up on your monitor is probably not how it's going to print out. I put a disclaimer in my Etsy shop for digitals because you just never know how old someone's printer is, how old their computer, their monitor is, and you just don't know how it's going to come out when it prints. And you do have to play with those things. If you don't know how and you want to be happy and successful with what you're doing, you have to learn. The cons, it prints really slow. Like this particular model prints like 5 pages a minute. That is not fast at all. It's color, it's good color, so I guess it's worth it, but boy, I get impatient waiting. It took a lot of work to figure out the best print option, paper selection option to get it right, get the best color for me. When I first got it, I was extremely frustrated. What was showing on my monitor wasn't showing up printed out the correct way. But you go into the printer, you hit options or more options somewhere on that print. You know, when you tell it to print a page, there are options. There are paper options, paper selection options, I should say. There are, there's usually a normal and a best mode, or a draft mode and a normal and a best. Try them all, see what you like. Draft is not going to come out the same as normal, and on some printers, best is the best one to choose. On this one, I like normal. Best sucks up too much ink. So it did take a lot of work for me to figure out the best paper option to use to get my colors to come out the way I wanted them to be. The cartridges are small. You can zip through the cartridges pretty quickly, but you do have to have a program with HP for the printer programs, which I'll come to in a minute. The touchscreen is okay, but it leaves a lot to be desired as far as being user-friendly. You can do 4x6 photo papers, and they did. The ones I did came out okay. Not as good as my Epson. I was very spoiled by my Epson photo printer when I was printing a lot of my own photos that I take myself. And I made them into cards, and, you know, I would send them to people. But anyway, it was really simple. You put the photo paper in, and you tell it you want to print 4x6 photo, and it would recognize the paper in the tray, and zip zap, it was done. This one, you have to go into the paper options, the print options, and it was hidden in there. Like, to choose just because I chose 4x6 on the screen, I wanted to print out 4x6. Okay. It still printed out 4x6, but on a large sheet of paper. So it took some finagling and about a half an hour for me to figure out that I had to go into the options and change the paper tray it used. The scanner is okay, but it leaves a dark edge, which you can, you know, play with when placing a page on the scanner bed. It, you know, you can finagle it and press the scanner cover down and maybe not come up with that, but, you know, again, finicky. Okay, so the program, it's limited. So I scratched this out and I printed out here, but it's very confusing to look at here. Now, this is US dollars. So, 99 cents gets you 10 pages. $2.99 gets you 50. $4.99 gets you 100. Then it jumps to 300. You know what I use? Somewhere between 100 and 300. Actually, between 100 and 200. So if they had a 200 option for, you know, I don't know, $7.99, I would take that, but they don't. It jumps from $5 to $12, from 100 to 300. Now, why? I mean, for me, this is, you know, I fall in between these two here. $18.99, $500, $24.99, $700, and $49.99. You get $1,500. I would never use $1,500. I don't care. I don't know if design team members, you know, use that much. I don't print out that much. I print most months I print somewhere between 130. So for me, this is a waste of money, but I had to change I had lowered it to the 100, and I then couldn't print for 7 days last week because my print schedule changes on January 24th. So, you have to keep track of what you're printing. So you do have to keep track of what you're printing. You can pull up the HP page, and if you print 30 pages, you can refresh that page and it'll tell you how many prints you've used out of your number of prints. So out of, 300 prints, if you use 299 and you got a way to, your program, like mine ends on January 23rd. The new program starts on January 24th. The new count starts on January 24th, February 24th, etc. Your date will be different depending on when you signed up for it. So, in order to not go over, you can either use your rollover pages if you had some from last month. So say I have the 300 print plan and I only print 110 pages. So the rest of those pages from 110 to 300 will go in a rollover program, but only up to a certain number. So each tier has a certain number of rollover pages allowed. I'll never use those rollovers unless I change my plan, which you can do. And I did do that over several months. I changed it back down to the 100 print, but then I started scanning these pages and wanting printouts so I could show customers how they look printed out. And then I was using a lot of pages again. So I had to wait a week before I could, print some more. So it limits you, and that's a big con. Now, if you know you're always going to have enough pages and you're willing to pay that extra money a month, go for it. Or you can flip-flop. You can change, this month I can do 300. Then I could change it back to 100. Then you can change it back to 300 if you're going to do a lot of printing, say, over the summer. So you can change it back and forth, but you have to wait until that date. Like last week, we changed it back up to 300, but we couldn't start the 300 until the 24th of January. I hope that's clear as mud. So if you do go over and you just need, you need a really important document and it's 5 pages, up to 10 pages in this in the first few tiers, up to 10 pages, they'll charge you $1 for an extra 10 pages over your program. But then the cost goes up from there. Now, the EcoType printers, like the Epson, Canon, they both have an Epson calls theirs an eco tank. Canon calls theirs a refillable tank or something like that. I've never used a Canon copier. I have read that there are a few people on the Facebook pages that I belong to that love their Canon printer. One thing I did read, I did tons of research. I tend to do a ton of research on things. And one of the things I read was that on an Epson printer, the print head will die on you. A lot of them, if you do a lot of printing, like say Gail Augustinelli does, or, Rachel does, those print heads will die on you. And you can send the machine back and get that replaced, but it costs you money unless you have you buy a, one of those programs to ensure that, if something goes wrong with it, they'll fix it for you. But anyway, so that's an idea to look into, something to look into if you get an Epson. I heard that problem wasn't as bad with the HPs. They last a little longer than that, but neither the HP nor the Epson can you change the print heads yourself. And I might not be stating print heads correctly. I can't remember if it's printer heads or I think it's printer heads, but anyway. And printer heads are very finicky. I know this from working at Xerox. When I was a teenager, I worked on an entire floor full of printers, and we had to be very careful. Most of them were laser printers, but still. And so I did read that the Canons, supposedly you can change those yourself if you're mechanical enough. And it doesn't void the warranty or whatever. Anyway, that's what I read a couple years ago. So, that being said, in the Eco Tanks, there's actually a tank in the front, and you get a little bottle, and you can squirt more ink in when it runs low. You can buy those on Amazon or through Best Buy or wherever that sells them, and you just refill it whenever you want to. You don't have to worry about whether it's coming in the mail or not. You don't have to worry about whether it's going to freeze in the winter or explode because of heat in the summer from sitting in a mailroom somewhere that's not, or in a mail truck somewhere. Or that it may be defective or crushed when you get it. So that being said, the HP does arrive in a very heavy duty cardboard box. So that's a good thing. But most of the Epson printers, I don't know about the Canon, most of the Epson printers do not have the borderless option. So when you print out, you will end up with a white border around every single 8.5 by 11 page you get. And you have to cut that off, and you're losing the size of the paper. So you're losing time, it's not efficient, and you're losing paper, and you're losing the 8.5 by 11. You're now down to 8 by 10 and 3/4 or 10.5 or something. So it is kind of a trade-off. And if you, if you're looking for a printer, these are options and things that you need to look into. You can easily research on Google and YouTube as to comparisons and pros and cons of these printers to each other. So as you can see, these are printed on 20-pound paper, and they came out really nice. I mean, that is really nice, I think, as far as color. You can almost feel the texture in it. And this is just 20-pound copy paper. I do like 24-pound the best. 28 is a little slick. 20-pound is more porous. It's thinner, and you can feel the texture of the paper. 24-pound is a little smoother, and you can feel it's almost more slick. And 28-pound is very, very slick. So the ink is going to soak into the 20-pound more than it's going to soak into 24-pound. And you're going to get richer colors. I don't know if I have any 24-pound copies here at the moment. I should have looked for something like that, but for comparison. But, so, of course, I can't compare apples to oranges. This is a 24-pound, and it's, you can see the brightness level is different. And I don't know if you can see, there's almost a little tiny sheen on this paper, and there is not on this paper. And this is 24-pound. Staples actually uses 28-pound when they print professional copies for people who want things printed. Because it's a wonderful paper. And I get my paper at Staples, not my 20-pound. I get that anywhere, grocery store, Walmart, whatever. 24 and 28-pound you can get in reams at Staples. And Staples has a reward program, so you can sign up for that. And you can use those papers and see what you like and how you like it to come out. And, if you don't want to have to cut around borders. Now these I printed out like this. I printed 2 to a page, and these are 5 by 7 size. And so that's why there's a border around these. But if you don't want to cut your, the edges of your paper every single time you want to use a print, then I would suggest you find a printer that does have the option for borderless. If it does not have that option, you are going to be cutting every piece of paper out that you print. especially for those of us that are doing digital papers like this, printing out pages to use in our journals. You do not want to have to mess with, I just don't know how some people do it. Like Gail's printer does not print borderless, so she has to cut every single page down that she uses. Bless her heart. Patience that I don't have. So I just wanted to share this with you. Tammy, I hope this answers your question. I hope this helps anyone out there that is thinking about a new printer. If you have any questions, you can ask. I don't claim to be an expert. I only share my own experiences with you guys. It's just my opinion, just my experience, what I have dealt with over the years. Like I said, I am a big, huge Epson fan, and there are many, many times when I wish that I had chosen the Epson EcoTank printer, regardless of the fact that I would have had to cut the edges off. So that's it for me today. I hope you're doing great. I hope you're safe. I hope everything is well in your world. And if it's not, I'm sending good thoughts to you. I really appreciate you being here. I will give an update in my next video about what's been going on with my shoulder, which is fine. I'm fine. Everything's good. Evan is doing well. He has some allergies, and we've been dealing with that, but everything else is fine. So I hope the same goes for you. And I am glad that you joined me for this, and I hope this was helpful. So you guys take care. Love you all. And thank you for being here. I can't believe I'm slowly gaining on subscribers, and pretty soon we'll be 2,000, maybe by my 65th birthday in May. Maybe I'll have 2,000 subscribers. So that would be fun. So take care. I'll be back. See you on the flip side. Happy crafting, everybody. Bye.